Now, creating a relationship between two tables is a two-step process. As you recall in the previous training video, we did the first step, and that was creating a foreign key field in one table that will match the primary key field in another table that we want to relate it to. So the computers table, I created the foreign key field employee ID that matched the employee ID field in the employees table. You can have different names, but it's got to have the same data type again and the same type of data. So once we've done that, and you've watched that training video, because if you haven't, this training video may not make sense, we do the next step, and that's to create or hook up or link that foreign key field in one table to the primary key field in the other. To do that, you want to come up here and click on the Database Tools tab, go down to the Relationships group, and click on the Relationships button. It opens up a blank Relationships window, and metaphorically speaking, I refer to this as the dance floor, because we want to be able to create relationships between tables. And the only way we can create relationships, metaphorically speaking, between you and somebody else is you got to have something in common. And we just did that in the previous training video with our tables. Remember, we set up the foreign key fields that matches the primary key field in another table. We just need to bring them out here on the dance floor. To get those tables out here on the dance floor, as it were, you can do it one of two ways. You can either come up here on the Design tab to the Relationships group and click on Show Table. There's a list of all the tables. Or you can go ahead and right-click in a blank area and click on Show Table. To add the tables, you can do it one of many ways. You can go ahead and select it and click Add, or double-click on it, or go ahead and select one and Control-click, holding down the Control key, select another and click Add, or select the top one, hold down the Shift key and select the bottom one. It selects the top and the bottom and everything in between. That's the block selection. Click Add. And if you keep double-clicking and adding more and more tables, no worries, go ahead and close out because you can remove them. We don't want to have all these duplicates, and how do you know it's a duplicate table? Because it has the original name of the table and then the number of the duplicate that it is. This is the third duplicate, so go ahead and select it, right-click on it, and hide it. Or you can click on it and hit the delete key. That will remove it as well. It won't delete the tables here at all, it just removes it from the relationship or the dance floor here. Select it, delete, and delete, and delete. Now you can move these tables around by clicking and dragging their title bar here that has the title, Employees. And what I like to do is when I create relationships between two tables is I like to get them close to one another. But the question is, which tables are going to be relating to each other? What I do is I typically look at the bottom field of the table, because when I design tables, usually the last field is going to be my foreign key field. So I see employee ID, and I come over here and there's the primary key employee ID. So that's where we're going to hook up. And I also want to make sure, to keep it simple for me, that again, that the name of the foreign key field is exactly the same name as the primary key field in the other table that I want to relate it to. It doesn't have to be, but just make sure that the data types are the same. You know, if it's number, it's got the number data type for that field and that field, as we discussed in the previous training video. Because if I come into your database and you got something like PLOY ID, employee ID, I mean, you're being kind of creative, I wouldn't know to click and drag that or the primary key field to that foreign key field, but this way there's no doubt. I mean, in my mind, that employee ID, let me click and drag and move it next to this table, is going to hook up and create the relationship between what they have in common here. Because you can't create a relationship with anybody unless you find something in common, and we did that to these tables in the previous training video. And so let me go ahead and click and drag the employee ID primary key field from the employees table, and you'll notice as I'm dragging it across the dance floor, it's got a circle with a line through it. That means that you can't create a relationship with the employee ID field here to the dance floor. It's got to be to another field in another table. And so I'm going to go ahead and hover over that field and let go, and it opens up a new window. And it lets me know that, hey, you're trying to create a relationship with this field in that table to this field in the computers table, the foreign key field. Is that what you want to do? If not, click cancel and try it again. But it is employee ID to employee ID. Let me go ahead and click and drag this down. Now, I could go ahead and click create and create the relationship between these two fields, but if I do that without enforcing it, it's going to be a wishy-washy relationship. In other words, I'll be able to pull up or pull in these fields in a query. We'll learn later on. In other words, if I just want the employee's last name and find out the asset tag that the computer's been assigned to this employee, I can pull in this field and that field into one window without having to pull up two separate windows and jumping back and forth. That's what the query does. So again, it'll allow me to do that once I create that relationship because they're related, but if I delete records, the employee ID here, it won't update it over here, and vice versa. So I want to be able to enforce that, but enforcing means that I can't make any changes in one table without affecting the other, and so the enforcement says, I won't let you make any changes or any updates. Well, there's very few reasons, if any, I can think of why you wouldn't want to do that, because in my database, I'm making a lot of updates to related fields and also related records. So I'm going to go ahead and check these two additional boxes. So if I go ahead and I change the employee ID in this table, let's say his ID is 4 to 5, it'll automatically see the relationship and enforce that data or referential integrity and update that, because I checked the update here in this table, and change it from 4 to 5. Also, if I delete an employee in this table, it will go ahead and delete the related record in that table, as it says down here, which is good because I don't want to delete all these employees, or maybe if they left, quit, or I fired them, and have a bunch of computers still assigned to them because it didn't update, and thinking, oh wow, we have no computers, we better purchase more, when actually I do. I just didn't delete the related record in this table here. But by the same token, if it deletes the related record, the computers, then every time an employee leaves, I lose a computer. You want to keep that in mind, so before you delete an employee in this case, maybe you want to go ahead and have another employee created and come back in this table and make sure that you assign the computer that new employee's ID. So again, to emphasize this, it's great to create relationships. That way we can go ahead and pull in one field from one table and any field from another. And because we have a relationship just between these two fields, that table will share all the other fields because it knows it's related to here, as well as the other table share the fields as well. I mean, when you create a relationship with somebody, don't you share everything that you have? So I can have the last name in a query and also the asset tag, and it will pull that in. So let's go ahead and click create, and it creates the relationship. Let me go ahead and click and drag that out so you can see that line. That's coming from the employee ID primary key. Comes out of here. It says this field, it's linked to that field. And you'll notice that it has a number 1. What that means is that, again, we can't have any duplicates in the primary key field, can we? We can only have one unique record. So there's one unique to many. So it's a one-to-many relationship. In other words, can I have many employee IDs here in the computers table? Well, think about that. I could have one employee ID, let's say number 4, who not only has a laptop, but also has a desktop computer. So they could have 2 or more computers. So I could have many employee IDs, or one employee assigned to many computers. So that's what that means, that infinity symbol, one to many. So let's go ahead and finish this up. What other relationships do I have? Well, I've got the department code here. That goes to the department code there. Let's go ahead and click and drag the primary key field to the foreign key field and let go, and check the boxes and click create. Now, if you made a mistake and you need to make a change, either to edit this or remove it, like let's say we need to go back to this one and edit it, go ahead and click on it. If you can get your pointer on top of it. Once you have it selected, you can either double click it and it brings up in edit mode, or close out, or you can go ahead and right click and edit and then make your changes, uncheck boxes if you need to, or change the keys and click OK. Or you can go ahead and, as long as it's bolded here, you can hit the delete key and it says, are you sure you permanently want to delete this relationship from your database? If you do, let go of it. You can go ahead and quickly drag it back again and check the boxes and create it. And then finally the manufacturer, which is the foreign key here to the primary key there. Now, do I need to always drag from the primary key field to the foreign key field, or can I go ahead and drag from the foreign key to the primary key? Well, yes, except in a one-to-one relationship, which we'll learn in the next training video. How will I know if it's a one-to-one relationship or going to be a one-to-one? Let me go ahead and check these boxes here and click create, and then I can click and drag and move these around so my relationships don't look like they're crisscrossing. The way to find out if it's going to be a one-to-one relationship is look at these numbers here. Remember, if it's a primary key, it's going to have one record, no duplicates. So what makes it a one-to-one? If I'm creating a relationship from one primary key field to another, it will be a one-to-one relationship. And you'll learn in the next training video that when you see that you want to relate a primary key field to another primary key field, it's not as popular, or it's something you won't do as often as having a one-to-many relationship, but nonetheless, when you do, you want to make sure that you know which table is initiating that relationship. In other words, when you're pulling this field and you're trying to relate this primary key to that primary key, I mean, if they're relatable, but they aren't, then you need to know if you're going to click and drag from that table to that table. Because when you do, that becomes the editing table. In other words, you have to make the changes in here first and update it before you can go ahead and update related fields in that table. Because this is the aggressor, this is the one who initiated the relationship. I mean, you could go ahead and try, and if you created that one-to-one and you started from here and you dragged it over here to start editing and updating the primary key field over here, but because this one created it, I dragged it from this table to that one, it won't allow you to do it. It says, hey, go back to the one who initiated this relationship that you clicked and dragged it from. And we'll cover that more in the next training video. But for right now, we created our simple relationships, one-to-many, where we can have one record related to many different records in that table, and also these other tables as well. And it doesn't have to be a linear relationship for me to be able to use my queries and pull in one bit of data from one table to another. So I could pull the manufacturer up here and the employee ID, and as long as I've got a table that's linking these two up, I can do that when I query. I don't have to pull up all this information. I can go ahead and pull up bits and pieces from these tables because in one way or another, they're relating, even if I have to go through one table to get to another to get that information. And then when you're done, be sure to save your work. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel to get notified of the latest videos. And for great specials on my products, please see the description below this video.